And also I forgot to mention, I removed this electrical connector. It was the last one. It was holding on a 10mm bolt. It was mounted to the throttle body. The next on the way, as you can see, we already can see the spark plugs. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 more of them are under this plastic cover. You have to remove those bolts to remove this plastic cover. To remove those screws you need to use like a set, and you need to find the correct size, put it on a ratchet like this, and you have to do counterclockwise to remove those 4 bolts. Remove all 4 of them and remove the plastic cover. When this plastic cover is removed, we actually see all 6 spark plugs that we need to replace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh right, number 6 was a little bit hidden. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But since we also replacing the exhaust, no, not exhaust, intake gasket, we also have to remove this part because it's underneath of this exhaust manifold. Looks like it's holding on a 12mm bolts, many of them. Also you have to disconnect this vacuum hose and this vacuum hose. To loosen those bolts you need to use a breaker with 12mm socket. Don't use a ratchet because you can break it. And the hose on top. And very easy to loosen it. The bolts on top you can lose without any extensions. But the bolts in the bottom you have to be using the variety of extensions. Something like this to loosen them. And this last bolt, this one in the bottom, but it's from the other side. It's kind of hard to see. It's located right there. You can squeeze through this hole, but you have to remove those spark plug wires because they're making it a little bit higher. Also you have to remember the position. You see E and then there is nothing. Then there is C and then there is nothing. And G and then there is nothing on top. You have to plug the wires exactly back on how they was. To remove this coil you need to use 10mm and you need mini ratchet. And you need to do counterclockwise. Only this mini ratchet with 10mm socket fits here. As soon as I removed this coil, I was able to squeeze and to get access to the last bolt. You see very easily, this last bolt is loose. Remove him. We also need to disconnect this hose as well, out from here. We also need to remove those 2 bolts which are holding this line from the other side. And this one. And I was trying to remove the hose, but the hose is like very old and it started cracking even after I applied some D40, so I just decided to keep it here. Right now it's exposed. Before I replaced this gasket, and right now it was exhaust gasket, this one, and this is intake. As you can see, oil is dripping everywhere here and everything goes to the spark plug. Those bolts need to be removed, it's 10mm. When I removed those 6 bolts and 2 lug nuts, the intake cover could be removed. Intake cover is removed. As you can see, the gasket is very crappy, it became very dry and it easily breaks. It have a lot of cracks everywhere and oil was seeping through, as you can see. Right now all surface need to be cleaned and the new gasket have to be installed. Alright guys, it's time to start replacing the spark plugs. I cleaned the surface of the cover, it's now drying up, and the thing that I will be doing only one set of spark plugs in a time. As you can see, the coil goes right there, right? And when you're removing the coil, you exposing two spark plugs. You have to replace two of them. Then again, you're removing the coil and you're removing the spark plug wire. Then the next set and then the last set. So it's two sets. Total amount of spark plugs is 6. As I mentioned before, since I'm doing only two spark plugs at a time, two of them are removed. And if you compare the new one is original Denso. And let's say that the old spark plugs is not that bad, but it's already time to replace them. Because as you can see, the tip is shorter than it's supposed to be. It's burned little by little. And here the tip is longer at the end. So it's already time. As I mentioned before, I removed only two of them from here. Let's install two new spark plugs and put the coil and the wire back in. Then the second group. Two new spark plugs are installed. They're located right there. It's time to install the coil. It's holding on this long bolt and goes to the spark plug at the end. And the wire goes just right there on a second spark plug. Alright, right now we're currently working on a second coil and the spark plug. So let's say that it's a set number 2. This was the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. So let's remove the second set and put two new spark plugs. Here they are. And all spark plugs I'm putting completely in a different corner, not to mix them. Let's install two more new spark plugs. And as I mentioned before, why there is that much oil everywhere? Even when you're removing the key, you can see oil. It's because oil was leaking through the intake valve gasket. That's why the replacement is needed of this intake valve gasket. Two more spark plugs removed. Here they are. Let's install two new.